So today we're going to start on Kuf Lamed 130B, and it's probably in the art scroll. It's probably number 1 because it's right on the top here, 4 lines from the top. Gufa. Gufa means that we've made a statement before. Usually it's Amiraim, a statement from an Amira, and now we're going to re-examine it. So Gufa, it was taught before. Amar Rav Chizda. Rav Chizda says, Hamazik matanis kahuna. If someone damages the gifts that are given to the kohen, that means you're supposed to, if you slaughter an animal, there's certain parts of the animal that are given to the kohen. We said the Israel Achayayim and the Keva. Now, it's supposed to be given to the kohen, but let's say for whatever reason it doesn't exist. So Aisha Achlan, or he ate them. He damaged them or he ate them, so they're not there anymore. Then Patim El Shalom doesn't need to pay for them. My time, what's the reason for this halacha? It's interesting. It was supposed to go to the kohen, but now that it doesn't exist, he doesn't have any debt. So Iba Yasema, if you want, you could say the Ksiv Zeh, because the pasuk says Zeh. This we quoted before. It says V'zeh mishpat hakayanim. This is the law of the kohenim. That means that it has to be there. Zeh means like it's right there. If it's not there, then you don't have to give it. Or the other option is because if you want, you could say that there's no one that's able to claim it. That means because any kohen that's going to come and say, "Hey, you didn't give the matanas," you can always tell him, "Yeah, I wasn't giving it to you. I'm giving it to another kohen." So that means you'll never need to pay because there's no one that can actually extract it from you. Because there's no one near that no one individual that has the rights to it. Now the Gemara has a question. Meisvei. They asked the question. This is the law of the kohenim. That says that these gifts are an actual law. For what are they considered a law? What is this referring to? When you say it's a law, it must mean that the judges can extract it. That's the Gemara says, Loi. To divide it with dayanim. What does it mean, l'cholkan b'dayanim? So we have to see what this means. What does it mean to divide it with judges? It says, Rab Shmuel bar Nachmani. Like Rab Shmuel bar Nachmani says, Damar Rab Shmuel bar Nachmani, Amar Rab Yonasan. This is a popular PR in the Gemara, and it always contains a pasuk. He says, Minayin shein noisnin matana l'kayin amar. How do you know that you're not allowed to give the gifts to a kohen that's an ignoramus? Shenemar, as it says in the pasuk in Divrei Yamim and Chronicles, He's told the people, it's referring to Yehoshaphat, that they should give the gifts to the Kohanim and to the Levim so that they should grasp onto the law of God. And the Gemara explains that Kol HaMachzik b'teres Hashem yesh lo manas. Manas means the portion. Anyone that is following the laws of Hashem gets the portions, the gifts. You don't follow the laws of Hashem, then you don't get the gifts. It's referring to the Am Haaretz, that you're not supposed to give him the gifts. And what we're seeing here is that the Zeyeh Mishpat HaKohanim, the pasuk that says that the gifts to the Kohanim are considered a law. What type of law? It's a law, not that someone else could come to court and say, you didn't give your gifts, you owe the kohanim, and the court will have him. That's not what it means.
Comes King James.
So, what it means is that the court can decide which person is deserving of the gift, because he has to be following the halachas. So there's sort of like a person needed to get an acceptance letter sort of from the court that no, this is an eligible kohen because he's following the Teres Hashem.
Is that so he should eat it in Noah's Ark and through the...
I think it was a gift that they that they felt. It doesn't say that. I don't know. these things, especially these things you're allowed to eat.
No, keep on going.
Tashema, come and listen. Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira Aimer. Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira says, we know that he was in the time of the temple. Mishpat. It says, V'zeyeh Mishpat, this is the law. Malamid Shamatanis Din. This teaches us that the gifts to the Kayan are a law. Now, we were trying to say that no one can extract, can demand the gifts that are supposed to go to the Kayan. The Kayan can't come and demand them in court, because you can always say, "Oh, I'm giving it to another Kayan or something," or it's only while it exists. If it doesn't exist, you can't take the value of it in court. Now here we have a problem, because here Yehuda ben Beseir says, no, it's a law. It sounds like it's in court. Yachal afilu chazav v'shaik din. Maybe chazav v'shaik is a different sort of gift to the Kayan. This is on sacrifices, on the shlamim. You have to give the chest and the thigh to the Kayan. Talmud Leimer Zeh says, no, only the Israel Chayayim and the Keva are considered a law. Masks Lamai. What are we referring to? That this is a law, this is not a law. What are we referring to?
Which one said Osam the other day?
Yeah, that was the Israel Chayayim and Keva.
Okay, so those are Osam, and this one is.
No, it's actually on both.
That's why
no, one second.
Question something.
No, I'm sorry. That's the chazav v'shaik. That's the thigh. That's the sacrifice, the chest and the thigh.
And now they're saying it's zeh.
Zeh is referring to the Israel Achem and the Keva. That's on the sacrifice animal. This is on a mundane animal.
Okay.
So this mundane animal is the law, and the sacrifice animal is not the law. It's being excluded from the word zeh. This, not the other one. The Gemara says, Lamai, what is this for? Eily melachalka b'dayanim. Are we saying, like that previous answer that we just gave, that you only give it to someone that's following the law, but not to an amaretz? So now we're going to exclude the chazav v'shaik from this, and we're going to say, Atu chazav v'shaik lab b'dayanim mechalku. We're going to say that you can give the chazav v'shaik to anyone, even someone that doesn't follow the laws. It doesn't make sense. It has to be elalav leitzir b'dayanim. It must mean that we're talking about that you can extract. When we said it's a law, that means that you can extract it. You can demand it in court, and that contradicts what Rav Chisda said. That's why over here we're asking a question on Rav Chisda, because you can't interpret leitzir b'dayanim the way we just did, because here we make a contrast between this and chazav v'shaik, and if it's the way we just explained it, then that should be the equal. It must be that this you can extract in court. Gemara says, it gives us an answer that's a little bit like uncomfortable answer. It says, we're talking about here, we're talking about extracting it in court. We're talking about where it already came into his hands because it was already given to him. Then someone comes along and steals it, so he can go to court and say, hey, you stole it from me, and take it back. So it's not that you go to the non-Kayan and say, hey, I'm a Kayan, you owe that to me. No, you can't do that. We're still saying Rav Chisda's right. You can't go to a non-Kayan and say, you owe that to me. You can't go to the Yisrael and say, hey, you slaughtered an animal, that's mine. You can't do that. What are we saying is that...
The best proof for that is that it's everybody's. What's the better proof? The proof that... There's two proofs, right? From the beginning?
It's either two possibilities.
Is there one that's stronger?
Let's say. Mm-hmm. So here what we're saying is that it was already given to the Kayan. And someone takes it out, it belongs to the Kayan. The Gemara says, if it was already given to the Kayan, why are you telling me it's a din? This really seems to be a bigger question. If someone gives the chazav v'shaik to the Kayan and someone steals it from him, you can't take it out, you can't demand it.
What do you mean if somebody gives it to the
We just made a contrast there between the chazav v'shaik and the Israel Chayim and the Keva. Both of them are gifts to the Kayan. Right. But we said that this one is a law, this one is not a law.
But so isn't one more like hektish in a way?
One is hektish, one is kosher.
Which is which?
The chazav v'shaik, the two.
Oh,
that's the one that's not a law. So we're saying here it was already given.
Because you can't take it back from hektish.
yeah. The question is what type of ownership the kohen has on it if someone steals it. See, here, the kohen has a full ownership on it, and if someone steals it, he can go to court and say, "You stole my thing, and you owe me the value or the." So.
And I'm sorry, these are only the things that are obligated, right? What do we say? The
Israel Chaim and the Keva.
Only those three things. If somebody steals
given.
them.
We're saying that in reference to what is it a law? If someone stole it from the kohen that already
Wait,
had
not
it.
those three things, the other two things.
No.
The whole thing
The other-
I'm really
okay,
confused here.
So
In
let's
the
do
beginning,
this.
we said that if it, I'm sorry, I could just go over. Am I? In the beginning, we said that if it was taken away, you don't have to give it back because there's two proofs, right?
No,
We-
we're talking about the Yisrael never gave it. The kohen can't come and say, "You owe it to me. You ate it already, or you destroyed it, or something.
Right.
I didn't get my gifts."
The two things, the chest
No,
and the top.
no. The Israel Chaim and the Keva.
We need like a.
Here, should I?
I
Let's
thought-
let's
wait,
do
I
this.
No,
thought-
it's it. We're just.
Let's do this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
start from the beginning.
This will be
Me, I'm
these two
sorry,
charts.
Okay.
This will be the two.
Change the colors.
No, this will be the two.
Okay.
That's goes the chaz of
Chest
shaykh,
and
the chest and the thigh
thigh.
goes to the kohen
As a gift.
as a gift from the korban shlamim. In other words, when you slaughter a sacrifice, certain parts of the shlam go on the altar, certain parts go to the kohenim, certain parts go to the owner. So each shlamim, everyone gets a piece. It gives
Shalom.
Shalom between everyone. So that's the two. Okay, now this has three parts to it. Okay, see the three parts. So this is the three. So this, every time you sacrifice an animal, you have to give the Zroya, L'chayim, and the Keva to a kohen. It's not a sacrifice, nothing. So Rav Chizda says that this gift to the kohen, if you damage it or if you destroy it, the kohen can't come and say, "You owe me the value of that." Why? Because it says, "Yeah, this. If it's not here, you don't owe it. If it's here, you owe it. If it's not here, there's no claim from the kohen." Okay, so we asked. We have a pasuk that says, "V'zeh mishpat." This is the law, and this teaches us that it's a law. So what does it mean it's a law? It must be that you can go to court and say to the guy that slaughtered a sacrifice, "You owe it to me." We say, no, that's not what it means. It means that it's a law. It means that the Beis Din decides which person is allowed to receive it. You don't have to give it. You don't give it to someone that's not eligible because he's not following the Torah. You don't give it to him. Okay, we gave an answer. Now the Gemara asks another question. The Gemara says that this is the law, but this is not a law. This is in reference to what? Are we saying that you can give this to any guy even if he's not eligible, to any kohen even if he doesn't follow? It's impossible. If you have to give this to a kohen that follows the law, you have to give this to a kohen that follows the law. That should be the same. So you say it must be that we're talking about that you can extract it in court. It's a kasha on Rav Chizda. That this you can extract in court and this you can't extract in court. Gemara says no. It's not a kasha on Rav Chizda. We're talking about that you still can't extract it in court. We're talking about that this was given to the kohen already, and it becomes the property of the kohen, and someone went ahead and stole it. He can go to court and claim it. So Gemara asks now, this is where we're holding. It says, if it was already given to the kohen, he can take the thief to court to claim it back. What's the chiddush over there? He stole his property. It was already his. Gemara says, this is a very interesting answer.
Who's claiming back, the owner or the kohen?
The kohen.
The kohen's
The
claiming.
kohen's claiming because it was stolen from him.
But where's this sacrifice?
This is not a sacrifice. This is a regular mundane animal. Every time you slaughter a mundane animal, you have to give a piece of it to the kohen.
3 pieces.
3 pieces.
3 coins in the
What happens if you're
fountain?
Chatzi Kohen? How many pieces you get? That
You
was
give it to Chatzi Shevet Menachem. All right, let's stay on focus. Come on.
So, Kosavar Haitana, and this Tana holds Matana Shalei Hormu Kamisha Hormudam. You see, it's a very interesting thing. We're talking about that this animal, the entire animal, finds itself in the property of a kohen. The owner of the animal had slaughtered it, and it's in the property of a kohen, and it wasn't separated. The portions that belong to him. But even though it wasn't separated by the owner, but the kohen, because it's in his property, he takes ownership of those pieces that belong to him even before it's separated. It's an interesting answer. So what we're saying here is that if it was already given to the Kayan, then of course if someone steals it, he can go to court and say, this guy stole my gifts, give them back. That's of course. Here we're saying a bigger chiddush. We're saying that it was in his property. It wasn't actually given to him. It wasn't separated to be given to him, but his property can take ownership of it even before it's separated. Matanish shaloi hormu, the gifts that are not elevated, that are not removed from the animal, are as if they're removed from the animal, and his property takes ownership of it.
The regular three, the four-leg, stomach, those three, even though they're chulin, do they also go to a kohen from a regular korban? I mean,
No.
not a
That's what
chulin
we asked.
korban.
That's what we asked yesterday. Yesterday we were asking
What was the answer?
that maybe we were trying to make a kal v'chomer, that if on a chulin animal, for sure you should give it. And we said no. We said v'zeh. This one you give, not that
because
one.
it's
That was
go
the
back
zeh
with the
naisam.
zeh.
That was
Zeh.
it.
How does it work, practically speaking? If you give somebody a coin and it gets stolen,
If you
it
give
gets stolen. You give whatever these three things to the
Right.
coin that you're mechuyev to give, right?
right.
Same as you.
And it gets stolen. Why are you mechuyev to give him another?
You don't have to give him another.
You don't have to give
No,
him another.
you're done. You're done.
So then
We're talking about that the guy, the kayan can go to the ganav and say, give it back.
Oh, the guy. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay.
Okay, Tashima, come and listen. Balabayas, a homeowner, shayoiver mimakam lamakam, that was going from place to place. Very interesting. You see, it could be that this fellow has a lot of money at home, but while he's traveling, he's out of funds. Now, a poor person is allowed to take from different things that are in the field. There's different like organizations. There's different funds that he can get money from. So here we say because he's traveling, he doesn't have anything to eat. He takes leket shikhu and peya ma'aserani.
He's cash poor.
Yeah, what is this leket? Leket is the stalks that fall. The shikha, the bundles that get left. The pay is the corner of the field, and ma'aserani is the 10th that gets left. The 10th that's separated, the second 10th. And then it says, he takes it, Naitel. When he returns, he has to pay it up. Now, Yishalem is a type of expression that means that it's like a debt. He has to pay it back. Divir Rabbi Eliezer, this is the words of Rabbi Eliezer. Now, we're thinking here that even though he ate it already, we're comparing.
Oh, wait a minute. No, when he says Yishalem, he has to pay back the real pauper that was there. So this how is similar to the current case where the guy's making the claim. It was stolen from him, so that pauper, so the Cohen says, hey, you stole this stuff from me. So here the real one, he says, hey, you were cash poor at the moment, you stole it from me, I'm going to court and answer. I think that's a similarity.
Yeah. So here we're showing that even though it doesn't exist anymore, he's got to make it up. What's it called?
Reparation?
What is it called?
Reparation.
Is that the word? So he has to
repair.
Repatriation.
No, repatriation. Sending him back to the country.
Sounding good.
Sound good.
Reparations. You have to make more reparations.
Yeah.
Restitution.
Yeah.
What's restitution?
Same thing.
Restitution.
Yeah.
He's
That's
got
even better.
He has to pay it back to make up what he took. So too, if there's a kayan that slaughtered, if someone, a regular person, slaughters an animal, and the kayan never got his gifts, these gifts that are supposed to go to him. Why? Because he damaged it, the owner damaged it, or he ate it, let's say. So he has to make restitution. He's saying exactly the same thing. This is our question. It's a kasha on Rav Chizda. Rav Chizda said you don't have to. So Rav Chizda says on this, Midas Chasidish Shanukan. This that we said, that this wealthy guy that was traveling, he has to pay it back, that's Midas Chassidus. He doesn't really have to. It's just, it's nice if he does. Amar Rava. Rava says, Tani Yishalem. The Bais says, Yishalem, that he has to pay it. Bat Amrit Midas Chassidus Shanukan. And you say that it's just a nice thing. It says Yishalem, it's an obligation. You can't just switch that. V'oid, and also, Midir Rabbi Eliezer, Leikum V'Leisev. Are you going to stand and ask from Rabbi Eliezer? Ask from the Sefer, from the Rabbanon. Elami Sefer. The Chachamim Maimrim, the sages say, Ani Haya Bais Shah. He doesn't have to pay back anything. At that moment, he was an ani. He was poor. He was temporarily poor. So at that time, he was allowed to take. He doesn't have to pay. Now look at this. Look at what the Gemara does. Time of the ani. What's the reason why he doesn't have to pay? Because he was poor and he had rights to it. Ha'asher. But let's say he wasn't really poor. Let's say he took it. That's just like the case of the mazik. So when it damages the matanas of the kayan, he wasn't allowed to, and he took it without permission, or he ate it. He wasn't a kayan. He wasn't allowed to eat it. So then, what's the case? Mishalim. Then for sure he has to pay. It's a kashan Rav Chisda again. Amai. It's exactly the same thing. If he was a wealthy guy that took the poor man's portions, or if it's someone that slaughtered an animal and he ate the gifts that are supposed to go to the kayan, he should have to pay just like the wealthy man has to pay. This diuk, that from the diuk it's understood from, in other words, what the Sefer actually said is that he was poor at that time, and therefore he doesn't have to pay it. The diuk is, but if he was rich, he would have to pay. That diuk is midas chasidus. If he was rich, he would have to pay midas chasidus, but he still doesn't actually have to pay, and therefore Rav Chisda is correct in saying that. Rav Chisda is correct in saying that if it was damaged, or if it was eaten, the gifts that are supposed to go to the kayan, you don't have to pay for it.
Right, because even if he's saying
even if you're rich, you didn't, and you ate the poor man's food, you don't have to pay it back.
Well, think about it. You're a rich guy. Let's say you're a rich guy, and you're cash. Like you said, you're broke. You don't have any. You don't have any credit cards. You don't have any cash. You're out there. You're poor, right? Because you don't have any money right now.
Right.
But then you come back. But then you come back, and then you have your money though.
Right.
Well, that's what separates the men from the boys, the ones that make. I was speaking, Lahabdil, but I was speaking to a guy yesterday who was telling me about a guy from India. I don't know his name, but the guy was like dirt poor, never had a dollar to his name, had no education, and one day he just, without reading, got enlightened to the concept of God. All right? We're not doing Lahabdil, this is not Jewish. All right? The guy somehow afterwards, and of course I'm sorry to waste time for a moment, but became a multi-millionaire, if not a billionaire. So he ended up talking about like Amidas Chasidus by a non-Jew. All right, we should learn from this. He ends up now, he built this like place, like called a soup kitchen, and he has 700 people living there that work every day to make the vegetarian food, and they feed thousands of people a day, and it's his way of giving back, and he lectures all around the world. That's a Midas Chasidus. He made it, and he gives to people. We should.
So we're saying more than that.
Indian guy.
We're saying more than that. We're saying
saying
more.
He's rich and he happens to be
very good. Thank
cash
God.
poor. Doesn't have
Bless
any
him.
We're saying more than that. We're saying that's one case. Yes, there is a guy that's wealthy, that he's traveling. He doesn't have any cash, so he's allowed to take. When he gets back, it's a machlokes if he's supposed to pay for it. Chum say he doesn't have to.
Rav Chisda, but according to
Rav Chisda, what we're saying is something even more than that. We're saying a guy that has money, and for whatever reason he doesn't want to spend it, and he takes from the poor, so he doesn't have to pay it back. But Midas Chasidus says that he should.
They knew a Yid's
Tashema.
They knew a Yid's
Tashema.
So,
come and listen.
It should be also someone, God forbid, who had to declare bankruptcy, and then and so they didn't owe anyone money, and then they end up making it really good one day. Are they chayiv to pay the people that they?
That's an interesting point, because we have precedent. We have precedent in history where there was concepts of bankruptcy, where I think in the days of Nehemiah, I think there were people that were very poor. No, but like he absolved all people that owed monies that were starting over from scratch.
It's like a
Yovel
kind of
right,
thing.
but it happened in Roman history also. I forget who it was. Solon, one of the Roman No, I'm sorry, in Greece.
But would it be a midas chasidus if someone in that situation then nonetheless, if they made a will, paid the people?
I think so, but they accused the guy. They said you knew you were going to absolve all debts, but right before you did this, you borrowed tons of money from everyone, and then you did pass this law. He said, no, actually I didn't do it, but my friends all knew about it, and they did it. I forget who it was. Solon, I think one of the Athenians. Okay, Tashema. How do we know that a balabayas, he didn't take he didn't separate the gifts that are supposed to be given, the separations, the meiser, the truma, the Chen Levi. Same thing with the Levi, that also is supposed to separate something from his gifts. How do you know that he doesn't have to pay for it? You should not make mundane what's sanctified from the Jewish people that they elevate. When are they considered sanctified? Only after they're separated. What are we seeing? That if it was Mishas Harama, if it was already separated, you do have to pay. If he goes ahead and eats it. Here he ate it without separating. If he separated, and he doesn't have to pay. If he separated it, then he would have to pay. It's as if he damaged the gifts that are going to the Kohen in this regular mundane animal. The Gemara answer is the same answer that we said before. Here what we're talking about, we're on the top of Kuf Lamed Aleph, we're talking about that it came into his hands before it was separated, and we're talking about a Ben Levi. So that's the case where you would have to pay for it. So this is like an odd sort of thing. Here we're talking about that if the balabayas ate it and he never gave it, he doesn't have to pay. If he separated it and he didn't give it, he also doesn't have to pay. When does he have to pay? Where's the diak here? We said, if it wasn't separated, he doesn't have to pay. So when does he have to pay? We're talking about if the kohen ended up getting it before it was separated. So we're saying that the kohen is able to take ownership of it, even though it's still mixed in, even though it was never separated. And then the balabayas goes ahead and eats it. Then he has to pay. Because that's considered, the chiddush is that it's considered as if it was separated and it was given to the kohen because it was in his property.
So we bring this to support the case with the animal?
So now we're back to the animal. We thought we would have a question on Rav Chisda that says that if you damage the matanis kahuna or if you eat them, you have to pay. Just like over here, if you separate the gifts and you eat them, you have to pay. You separate we're saying no. Over here, if you separate it, you still don't have to pay. And by the animal, you also don't have to pay if you damage it. So why over here is there a diuk that you should have to pay? That's because it ended up in the hands of the kohen before it was separated. And then you ate it, then you have to pay. Okay, so Rav Chisda is still on the top. Rav Chisda is still so far not disproven. That if someone damages the gifts that are meant to go to the kohen, he doesn't have to pay. Tashema. It's the third line from the top of the page here on Kuf Lamed Aleph. Farish Ansu Beis Hamelech Groning. Let's say the king, the government, confiscates someone's granary. If he owed money in taxes to the king, and he confiscated it, so in that granary he didn't he didn't remove the meiser. So really, part of that money that was just given to the king, to the government, contains his meiser that he was supposed to give to the Levi and to the Ani or whatever.
I thought meiser is after tax. money?
Oh, that's such a good question.
Because
It's
he
such a good
always asks
question.
that question.
That's an
with
excellent
salary.
question. We have to say that it's not an income tax. It's a different sort of tax. Some other thing, some other sort of debt. If it would be income tax, then that's correct. We take the miser off the.
Yeah, because you have
Right.
that's not money you make.
However, this is also a different sort of miser. We're talking about miser and money that you remove after the income that the income tax is not part of your profits. Here we're talking about miser that's a biblical miser, which is taken off grain, and it has to be removed before you do anything with the produce. So here, what we're saying is that if it gets confiscated, he still owes miser. This creates a problem for us. Rav Chisda was saying that none of these gifts are a debt. If you have it, it's separated. If you don't have it, then it's gone. Here it's gone. Why does he owe it? Okay, let's go further. In Ba'an price, if it was just this confiscation that the king just comes down and he just takes whatever he wants, patim melasa. He doesn't have to take miser because it was just confiscated. But the question was before that if it was taken in a debt, he has to go back and pay the levium for what was taken. It's different over there because he's gaining from it. He owed that money. Now he's using his miser to pay for a debt that he owed anyway. That's a problem. So that's why he has to pay. He shouldn't be gaining from the fact that it was confiscated, and now he's able to use miser to pay a debt. So over there it's different. Because that money that's being confiscated is not just confiscated. It's actually going towards something that he had to pay for. So that's why he has to go back and take away the miser. Okay, Tashima. Come and listen. Another proof. Amalai. He says to the butcher, "Macholi b'nei miyah shel para. Sell me the insides of this cow. Wants to make kishka, whatever. V'haya ben matnes kahuna. But the stomachs and the stomach that was used to give to the kayan, that was supposed to go to the kayan, the keva was in there. So nice and lakayan, he gives it to the kayan. Ve'ina menakalei min adamim, and he does it. And he does. The butcher doesn't take off the price because it's assumed that was supposed to go to the kayan anyway, and he didn't charge him for it. So when he says, "Sell me the innards," that piece that belongs to the kayan wasn't charged. He didn't pay for it. What the Gemara is thinking here is that who was supposed to give it to the kayan? The one that shechted it, the butcher. He doesn't give it to the kayan. He sells it to this